and welcome to another edition of The Point of View on City TV. We're live right here on your screens. My name is Duke Mensopoko, still sitting in for your regular host, Bernard Koku Avle. On The Point of View, we select the right topics, get the right guests, and at the end of the day, we endeavor to glean some useful insights on the issues that matter to you. We'll take a break. When I come back, of course, we're doing some legal gymnastics right here on the program. Welcome back. In this edition of the program, we will be looking at the disputed seats in Parliament. Of course, the 8th Parliament has been inaugurated, and it was inaugurated to all the issues that you're quite familiar with. Just about 2 days ago, that was the issue up for discussion on this program. But we've not left Parliament, of course, because even though we have a 275-member House, 275-member Parliament, split right down the aisle with 137 members on the side of the MPP, 137 members on the side of the NDC, there are still, some issues with regards to the seats. The political parties, main political parties, the New Patriotic Party, as well as the National Democratic Congress, the NDC, the two main contenders in our parliamentary system for quite some time now, are at each other's throats again. Of course, Article 99 of the Constitution provides that if you have any challenge with the conduct of parliamentary elections, you have every right to go to a high court, to file a case at the high court, an election petition. That's with regards to parliamentary election petition. If it's a presidential election petition, then of course the right forum is the Supreme Court, the apex court. We have one involving John Dramani Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC, as the petitioner, and Nana Akufo-Addo, the EC, and others. That's a different matter. We broach that subject a little bit, but that will not be our focus. We'll be focusing on parliamentary elections tonight. 16 constituencies. 16. And as if by some design or by default, that is also split right down the middle. NPP is challenging 8 seats, contesting 8 seats of the NDC. NDC is also contesting 8 seats of the MPP. So NDC contesting 8 seats of the MPP, NPP contesting 8 of the seats of the NDC as well. Now, the 16 cases can be categorized into 3 different issues. About 12 of the cases, 12 of them has got to do with alleged electoral malpractices. 12 of them. 2 of them have got to do with the eligibility of the candidates. 2 of them got to do with the eligibility of the candidate. That's in relation to they being dual citizens or holding dual citizenship. And the other 2 has got to do with the decision by the Electoral Commission to carve out the new Guan constituency, who did not voted in the presidential, but did not vote in the parliamentary. And they were, that's the South, what has become known as South, Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, Likpe, the South constituencies. Now, 2 of the constituencies got to do with that. So let's quickly run them by you. Buem is one of the constituencies that has got to do with the South. That's the Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, Likpe. They voted presidentially in the Buem constituency, but in the parliamentary election, they didn't vote anywhere because the Electoral Commission was supposed to create the Guan constituency, but they did not. They couldn't create that. They claim it's because there were number of days that you need to put in place an LI for it to mature, CI for it to mature. The 21 sitting days that could not be satisfied before Parliament went on recess. So that's with Buem. Then Kintampo North, Emmanuel Kwame Kuma, that's the candidate there. The MPP is averring in court that he was involved in a certain scandal, adverse findings. The NSS scandal, adverse findings were brought up against him, so he cannot hold himself or doesn't even qualify to contest. Then there's Savelugu, alleged election malpractices. Pusiga, alleged election malpractice. Jomoro, a case of dual citizenship. Asin North, dual citizenship. Banda, alleged electoral malpractice. Karachi West, alleged election malpractice. Of course, let's move to the MPP side. They are contesting these seats. These seats have been won by the MPP, but they're being contested by the NDC. The famous Tachiman South, with the reason for which the minority in the 7th Parliament, the last Parliament, walked to the Electoral Commission to present a petition. The tight race between Christopher Berry Basonti and Martin A. J. Mensah. That issue is at the Wenchi High Court. So that's about it. There was an issue in court, injunction, but that was quashed. So Martin was sworn in. That's one of the famous cases, widely trumpeted. Then there's the Hohoe case, which is similar to Buem. The issue of Santro Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobilipe. Then there's Tachiman South, Hanabisu, and Benjamin Setre. That issue is also about alleged malpractice. Tachiman South, George Mekuduka. That's also another issue of alleged election malpractice. Eskadu Ketan, similar issue. Tema West, Zabzugu, Serioso. All issues of alleged election malpractice. So we would be going through these cases and we would attempt to, without getting into the merits of the issue, of course, without getting into the merits of the issue, because that's what is before the courts, but we're broaching the subject matter in each of the cases. And we have members, at least now we have a member of one of the legal teams of the parties that is disputing these parliamentary seats. He will be bringing us up to speed with what exactly they are seeking from the court in these matters. So let me introduce my guests. I've been joined by Mr. Alex Segbefia. Mr. Alex Segbefia, former Minister of Health, former Deputy Chief of Staff, former Minister of Health, I've mentioned that, and now a member of the legal team of the NDC, Director of International Relations at a point.
I'm still the Director of International.
Still Director. What?
Can I remove my
Yes,
mask?
you can take it off.
The only two of us at the moment.
Yes. You can
Yes,
take it off.
I am still the Director of International Relations.
What does Fred Agbonyo do then?
Fred Agbonyo is my deputy.
Deputy. All right. Okay. Yeah. So Mr. Alex Segbefia, I say welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Duke. And can I call you Duke?
Yes. Why don't you feel free?
And I'm grateful for the opportunity. Good evening to your viewers and your listeners.
Yes.
And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Great. So that's not the main issue for discussion, though. But let's broach the subject a bit. The presidential petition. Tomorrow is going to be the first hearing.
Yes.
What should we expect?
Well, we are not quite certain. There are a number of applications that have come through. One is our application to amend the statement, the petition we put in terms of the first, second respondent issue. We've seen a document where the defense or the respondents are challenging it. Mm-hmm. So maybe that would be one of the things that will be dealt with tomorrow. They also have to make an amendment, by the way, because they also got theirs wrong. So we were quietly surprised that they wanted to oppose it, but we'll see what happens in court tomorrow. There's also the issue of the timetable, which will have to be discussed, I believe, in terms of when they're going to deal with the practice directions and set up who are going to be witnesses, the format the trial should take. Mm-hmm. And also there might be a date set for the pretrial question, which has been put by the respondents in terms of we not having a case which should not be brought before the court. So if a decision is made that should have its preliminary hearing before the main trial, then they will possibly set a date for that to be dealt with. So possibility of a number of things, but no real action. It will be more to do, and then obviously confirmation, which I believe has been granted, but maybe they'll do it in court for all future hearings or that hearing to actually be covered by the media in terms of televised.
Yes,
so the application has gone in, and we're hoping to be able to cover that as well. So that is what one can expect tomorrow when we go to court.
Okay, so let's come to the issue, the main issue for discussion.
Sure.
Got to do with the elections, the parliamentary elections, and the seats that you are contesting from the NDC. Of course, we would have the NPP, a member of the NPP legal team, joining us later on as advertised. But once you are here, let's begin with the seats from the NDC. Are you personally working on any of the cases?
No, I'm not in court on any of the cases, but we've had the opportunity to discuss a few of them or been involved in looking at some of them. And but unfortunately, we haven't been involved in the ones which have now been being challenged by the MPP.
Okay.
Because we don't know, we're still waiting to get some of the
served with some of
their petitions.
Okay.
And then we'll know exactly what it is that they are claiming against us. We know, obviously, of the Asin North case because that had been going on for a while.
Yes. But
not, we know noises about others. But most of them, like 4 of our cases, or 5 are more to do with election malpractices. And so we would like to know the detail of that. We are challenging 8 cases, as you know. You've gone through them and showed the viewers them. Hohoe, Seshiviosu, and Tachiman South stand out because of the nature of the claim.
So let's take it one after the other. So let's begin with Hohoe, the famous Hohoe, which left the whole High Court and traveled all the way to the Supreme Court. If my producers can run us to Hohoe, if we have that, to indicate that the main actors. Oh yes, so we have John Peter Amewu, who's been sworn in as MP, but has been challenged by Professor Margaret Kwaku. Interesting, the 2 of them have all run Hohoe at a point in time as chief executives, whether municipal or districts. They went head to head. Per the results that we had, Amewu was declared winner. He's been duly sworn in as MP. But you are challenging. The first challenge was taken to court by Chachuchi Kata, government or the Attorney General. He is the lawyer. Yes, so
well, let me make it clear that we challenged Hohoe, or the case that came to Hohoe was not an election petition.
A human rights issue.
It was a human rights issue.
Okay.
And it is important to draw the distinction between the human rights case and an election petition.
Okay.
For us lawyers, the bedrock, the foundation of the law, the rule of law, it coexists, almost interlinked with fundamental human rights.
Okay.
And it is the pillar upon which democracy is built. So fundamental human rights have a special place in any democracy of any substance. And it is not something that is ever toyed with, because if you allow people's fundamental human rights to be breached, you are beginning to deal and create cracks in our democracy.
Okay.
And I should make that point first, because in our Constitution, the whole of Chapter 5 is on human rights. Now, the interesting thing about Section 33 is that it says, notwithstanding any other issues that you have, when a human rights action is brought, it stands alone. It can come. The fact that other issues are dealt with. When the case went to court, the respondents, the AG's view was, because of the remedies that were being asked for, it was an election petition disguised as a human rights case. So it should be dealt with as an election petition, even if they are human rights issues. Suffice it to say, without going into the detail, we haven't got lots of time. The courts took that particular view that allowed me to disagree with the decision. Because the first question that should be asked is not what are the remedies. In a human rights case, the first question you ask is, has anybody, or has there been the potential, or are the issues being dealt with human rights issues, fundamental human? And if you come to that conclusion, then you deal with it regardless of the remedies. In that instance, you don't put the cart before the horse.
But in as much as the petition was also seeking a relief that would eventually was actually asking that Mr. Amewu does not hold himself as MP for Hohoe.
Yes.
Were you not broaching or segueing into issues of the determination of elections, which is the view that the election took, the Supreme Court took anyway?
Well, the Supreme Court has a beautiful name, Supreme.
Yeah.
And therefore, they have the power to do a lot of things.
And the decision was unanimous, Alex.
But why is there anywhere in the law that says when you have a unanimous decision, it can never be reviewed?
At least, you can review it, but if you had at least one person agreeing with the case that you are taking to court.
No. When you put forward certain arguments, the point is that the beauty of the law is that it in itself and in its structure, it recognizes that mistakes can be made.
Yes, of course.
That's why we have a court of appeal, and that time 3 judges sit. And when it gets to the Supreme Court, 5 sit. Sometimes you do a review, 7, 9. So it accepts that there can be different opinions. Sure. So as you know, the case is now going to go for a review or an appeal has been made. No decision has been made whether they will accept it for review purposes. There are a number of issues that have been put. But the important aspect of that case is that we simply say that people's human rights have been breached. Yeah. And the right court to deal with that is the High Court. Yeah. And we can bring a case in the High Court, notwithstanding an election petition or not. And the court says no, it must be subsumed in an election petition. We have known of this country where election petitions have taken 5 years to be decided. Yeah. Are we seriously saying that people's human rights should wait for 5 years or 3 years or even a year? Is that what we are seriously saying? Because they are not, unlike the presidential petition, where they have put 42 days as a guide. What is the
and even that is recent. We saw the 8 months.
Exactly. So where is the guideline for election petition? When people's human rights, fundamental, the right to vote is a fundamental human right, according to our courts, the Supreme Court. Why should we be waiting to go through that process, which can be sometimes laborious, and not allow us to go through the more expedited use of a human rights case? So I'm clear in my mind. I haven't gone into the detail of the case, but there are real issues when you have an electoral commission, along with the people who put us in this position, 4 separate communities not allowed to vote in an election. It's scandalous. It is absolutely unacceptable. And then you have this red herring. Oh, we've now drawn a new line, so you belong to OT, so vote in OT. Oh, there was no campaigning in OT for you, but you are closest to Buem, so add you to Buem.
There's a Supreme Court ruling
that what?
On that, the Hatcher ruling.
The Hatcher ruling deals with the fact that the demarcation is right. But you know what
the Electoral Commission has done?
The court said that although to be unconstitutional, it is not void. There was a good reason. Yeah. The reason they didn't make it void is that they accepted that the old Hohoe constituency still existed and will exist to the 6th of January. So if it still existed and SAL was under it, and at that time we are going to vote, we have 275 clearly demarcated constituencies. Why didn't you let them vote where they were?
Because they were going to create a new one for them.
Have they voted?
No.
So you're going to now create 207. When they create this new constituency, according to the law, it comes into force
in
2025. So South people, 2020, you don't belong. Please. You have a legal statutory right of a line that says you are here and you're here. Yeah. And then you have people's rights. And you have a constituency that exists. Simplest thing to do. The Supreme Court actually gave you an open door. Yeah. Go through it. Let them vote. Let somebody come and say, oh, but they are supposed to be OT. And then you say, well, they were, but actually, Hohoe still existed. Okay. So at the time they voted, it was for a Hohoe constituency. And the EC hadn't done what it was supposed to do, so they are entitled to vote in Hohoe.
But that issue has been determined. What?
Well, it's a review.
Yes.
That's why we hope there's a review. It hasn't been declared that.
Are you going to file for a review?
It's been refiled.
So it's going to be
the question is the court must grant you the right to review. Yes. So if they look at it.
So you're saying on record here that the case which was argued by Chachu. Yes. There's going to be there's a call for a review.
It has been filed. There's a call for a review.
Wow.
Interesting. Yes. Interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
But it's beautiful because this is law at its work. And you see, people don't sometimes grasp the issues of what has really happened. And it is just unacceptable. And the question I ask everyone when this is all going is that sometimes you lose a little bit of the history. I ask, and I'll ask you, 6 new constituencies created. All these constituencies that were created,
new regions
created. Tell me one region in which any constituency was split, apart from Volta region.
But you know there was this agitation about the South. They agitated right from the start.
Yes,
that
because
they didn't want to belong to the OT region. They wanted to be part of.
And you have decided.
But there was no similar agitation in any of the other regions. So
no, the agitation. If you had taken the whole Hohoe as
out
it stood,
to
and just gave it to Volta, what would have? What was the problem? No, what was the problem? We have told you we don't want to be here. You either take the whole thing and put it there, or you take the whole thing and put it here. But if the constituency remains intact, why did they have to split it? And so when people say that it was done specifically to enable one person to benefit from it, you ask yourself, is that a legitimate?
We can't prove that issue. Yes,
but,
it's a matter that
but it's I'm saying
by the court. So
it's not to be determined by the court. The court is given the facts and the deal, and they've made a determination at the moment. They've made a determination which we are going to, and the determination is that this human rights issue can be dealt with in an election petition. But the human rights issue is the crux of the whole matter. It must be dealt with separately, and even if there was no election petition, it's a human rights issue, and it can still go ahead without the election petition. That is because the fact that somebody is going to suffer from it as a result of it is neither here nor there. They must be allowed to vote. And the thing that was very interesting is that the respondents also agreed that actually they have a right, they've been disputed. But the only difference is that they shouldn't vote in Hohoe, they should vote in Wim. So the issue of whether the people have actually been dealt with wrongly it's a non-issue.
So let's get this clarified and straight. You have refiled the issue that you filed, which was ruled upon last week.
And we've also filed an election petition.
filed an election petition at Hohoe.
Yes. So there's a review of the initial decision, and the election petition has also been filed in Hohoe.
And what is the crux of that matter? Without going into the merits, the election petition in Hohoe.
Well, more or less, it mirrors the issues that we've read, that basically the demarcation given has excluded certain people from voting. Okay. And because they've been excluded, the result cannot be of a complete Hohoe. So they must now be allowed to vote. You add their votes to the people who are allowed to vote, and then come out with a result.
And then you can see that truly the person representing them is representing all the interests of everybody in Hohoe.
Amen.
I get that. Let's move to the second, the other.
Then you have Seshiosu.
Yes, Seshiosu, yes.
Seshiosu is sad.
If we have Seshiosu, my producers, if we can put that on screen, yes. So Dr. Kwekwe and Big and Paul Evans Edu, they've all been regional ministers at the point, yes.
Yes.
Both the regional, Western regional minister before he came to, of course, health minister and Akufo as well. And then Evans Pauli, the regional minister of the Western region now, which has been redemarcated. We have Western region and Western North. So yeah, two experienced politicians slugging it out.
What I want to point out is that in many of these cases, you notice they are closely run.
Yes.
And anytime there's closely run elections in this 2020 election, strange things happen. Strange things happen. Even in Parliament, there was a closely run election. Strange things happened with ballot papers. We'll go to that another time. But strange things always happen when it's a close election.
Yeah.
And most of the time, or all the time that I know, so somebody may come in, it's never had anything to do with the NDC. When the strange things begin to happen.
But I'm sure they are also the same.
Seshiosu is a classic example. You know about Senate East before we came. A ballot box was snatched, ran, this thing had to go. The same MP people who had done it now say that, oh, by the way, even though it's our guy who has done it, it has been tampered with. So don't open it and count. Please.
That has been determined.
But I'm sure you're
kind of won the seat by
Let me come to Seshiosu, then you understand where I'm coming from.
Okay, so what's the case with Seshiosu?
All constituencies have been counted, and they are counting the last one at the center, the polling station.
The collation center.
No,
polling station.
Polling station. When they count, I think it was at the collation center. When they anyway, let me not make. There was counting going on.
Yes, counting.
When they finished counting, everybody saw that they had finished. Say, for example, the MPP got 100, and the NDC got 250. The NDC got 250. And they finished counting the rest, and MPP was leading by 50. So when they add this 100 to that 50, they get 150. And now we have 250. So when we add it, we win. Once they realized that the counting was finished, and this was the situation, there was something happened. Scuffle, mayhem. Fortunately, the security guys were good. They just bundled everybody, grabbed all the things, and at that point, no pink sheet had been filled.
Okay.
Everybody had just done the counting. They realized what had happened. They bundled everything into the ballot box with the, what's it called, verification machine, everything inside. Sealed it and took it to their police station. Then the EC people at the collation center at the, I think was at either the regional or the constituency level, asked for the ballot box to be brought. And our people said, let's all go with the ballot box. They said, no. We've sent some people with a cocoa board vehicle to come and pick it up.
Yeah.
And they drove them. They were going to drive to the collation center. Our people said, we'll follow you. The speed, they couldn't follow them. They just drove. They actually evaded them and got to the collation center in question. When they got there, there's a barrier because they want to stop people from entering. So when they got to the barrier, you would have thought that immediately they open the door, the barrier, so that they can get through. For some reason, the barriers were never opened. The one box, nobody thought to put the ballot box in the vehicle with them.
Okay.
They put it in the bucket and sped off, when they should just have put it in the vehicle. EC officials. When they get there, the door is not open. Somebody comes,
picks them.
Not somebody, a group of people jump into the pickup, open the ballot box, and destroy everything to shreds.
But still, the EC had numbers to declare the results. From where?
Amen. You have come to the point of the matter. EC then decides that they are going to declare results. How? Where's your pink sheet? Oh, we've created one. How have you created? We know, we counted. And then they reduce our 250 to 150 and keep the 50 for the MPP. But because they had another 50 or whatever, now the MPP gentleman wins by about 20. And we said, but please, we all counted it. We all saw it. It is not possible. Oh no, we declare him a winner. But there's evidence and everybody saw that there was no pink sheet created at this thing. We haven't signed any pink sheets. And so we want that pink sheet to be brought for all of us. Kemashimene is the same issue with Tachiman South. Bring your stuff. I mean, it's ridiculous.
So, we are not being serious. There was no evidence, but there is.
They now have a pink sheet. So we now have to go for trial because we are saying that we know the figure. You say it is not that figure. There's a dispute. The worst scenario, the best scenario is give us our number if there are enough witnesses and the judge feels. But if the judge is not sure about our figure and he's not sure about their figure and he knows that things were destroyed, let them go and vote again in that polling station. That's all. It's happened in Akwitia in the past and other places. It's not a big issue, which even the EC themselves could have made that decision. There's no need for an election petition in this. So we've gone for the election petition. Fine. So that is Shishibi also. Those are the facts.
Right,
and you see that they are very similar to what is happening in Tachiman.
We'll come
it's
to
very
Tachiman
similar to what is happening in Senate East, and it's very similar to what happened in Parliament. There's a pattern.
All right, so at this juncture, I will take a break here. When I come back, we'll read your messages. And I must put on record that Guy Nimaku, member of the legal team of the MPP, actually scheduled to be here. He had agreed to be here, but still not here yet. We have some 30 minutes to go. We're still expecting him in studio to tell us about, bring us up to speed with the issues involved in the matters of the election petition parliamentary that they've taken to high courts across the country. Well, now they will take a break. When I come back, I still have Alexa Befian in studio. Hopefully, we'll get Guy Nimaku to join us.
Happy New Year. During the festive season, we brought you moments that I've spent with diplomats who are representing their countries right here in Ghana.
The plantains with, how do you call you make them hot.
The kelewele.
Yes, the kelewele, yes, kelewele, yes.
Of years that it's here, but we are only a small portion.
We're walking on history. In these COVID times, and viewers, do forgive me, I've taken my mask off because I've been walking for a while and I was beginning to struggle to breathe.
This COVID has changed everything that we ever know.
This is good though.
Oh,
So you grew up eating this?
it's the business.
What's it made of?
Let's talk about that later. Enjoy it first.
Starting with this, the four either statuettes.
So it looks like a band. Somebody's playing the drum, the guitar. Is it the saxophone? Yeah. As we continue the rerun of Diplomatic License here on City TV, every Saturday at 5 p.m., join me at Pioko as I spend time exploring the cultures of the different nations that are represented right here in Ghana.
Welcome back. This is the point of view. We're live right here on City TV. Before we went to the break, we're breaking down, trying to get you to appreciate the issues involved in the various election petitions at the parliamentary level that have been filed at various high courts across the country by the NDC and the NPP. We still don't have a rep from the NPP, but we have Mr. Alex Sebefi as a lawyer. He's a member of the NDC legal team, served variously in various positions in NDC regimes in this country. Before we went to the break, we're talking about the issue of Serious. Before that, we spoke about the vexed matters in Hohoe with the South area, Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and the issues resulting. Spoke about the two different court cases, the one involving the human rights issue, which ended up at the Supreme Court. It's told us that the NDC has filed for a review of the case after it was determined 5-0 against the NDC. Apart from that, there's also been an election petition, proper election petition filed at the whole High Court, I believe, to overturn, the whole High Court, to overturn the decision, or for get a rerun of the election in that constituency where John Peter Amewu just swore the oath just last week to be recognized as a member of parliament for that constituency. But there are more constituencies, and that's what we're going into now. So we've done Hohoe, we've done Sefio. So I would say that the for want of a better word, it's not positive though, but the poster boy of all the issues, the one which caused the minority to walk to the AC, Tachiman South. Tell us, the issues sometimes as they are discussed on radio and the media, sometimes are different from what plays out in the courts. What is the substance of the issue, without going into the merits, of what is the substance of the issue that the NDC is taking to court in Tachiman South?
The Tachiman South case is actually very sad. And it's sad for one major reason, firstly, and that is people lost their lives.
Yeah,
and so may their souls rest in perfect peace.
Yeah.
And they lost it for no good reason, just because they were at a center. Nobody decided to use water cannon. Nobody decided to use rubber bullets. So actually, the demonstrations that were going on by the NDC up and down the country had to do more with the way in which people were dealt with in the elections at various points. The Tachiman South is focal to that. Now, by virtue of what happened, it is obvious to everybody that something untoward had happened at the collation center. It's obvious. We have every single one of our pink sheets, including the special voting pink sheets. And when you collate all the figures, the NDC won the election. At the point of collation, the returning officer kept stalling and delaying. Nobody knew exactly what was going on. All of a sudden, a few people turned up, and then they said that, okay, we are ready to declare what with this thing. And they said, no, you cannot declare because you haven't gone through the collation process with us. Before anybody could say, here, presto, there had been discharge of firearms, everybody had scattered and appears to have done some declaration of results. Okay, you've done your declaration. Post it on the wall. If not today, not tomorrow. Put it there and give us our copy of the summary. No. Up to today, no. Why?
Because we've seen both parties hold press briefings and display pink sheets. The NDC held its press briefing in Parliament, displayed its pink. In fact, two presses. There was one at the headquarters here where the NDC displayed this pink. The MPP also held it on at its party headquarters.
When
also displayed their pink sheets.
No. When the MPP were visited by another sister radio station, Tachiman South was shown. They asked their head of IT on air for all of us to see. Tachiman South, he says, oh, we've got the results. When he showed the results, he said, no, the results you are showing are presidential. Show us your parliamentary. He said, oh, you know, we haven't got all the pink sheets.
But at the briefing at Asylum now, we saw pink sheets that were shown to them.
But did they have all?
Well, that's
the point we are making.
To be determined.
You can have some pink sheets. It happens. We have all. In that particular constituency, we have all. So if the EC has done a collation, put it up and give us our copy so that we know what is there something so difficult to ask after people have died? No, you can't do it. And now we have to go through the process of an election petition.
So you have in your short, what some of the things that happened at the Tachiman South Collation Center.
Unacceptable.
This is exclusive footage to City. About 28-minute documentary that we made out of the situation.
The way they are standing.
Yes. So that's
isn't there space for a vehicle with a water cannon to be used? Is it indoors? So why didn't they use water cannon? Why didn't they use rubber bullets? There are so many questions to be asked, answered. So many. And after all this, the EC still won't give us papers to show or demonstrate how they say, because we have our pink sheets.
I think that's the argument has been that in all the chaos, the papers and others got.
No, that has not been the argument. That has not been the argument. When our people attended the next day, 48 hours later, and our general secretary and others went to see the regional, the constituency collation officer. He said, I've handed all the documents to the summary sheets to the region. The region went to the region. The region said, oh, I'm not the person to give it to you. So go back. So now they started treating them as footballs. I mean, what stopped even headquarters saying, look, we have our copy here. And then we'll say that this figure is not wrong, this figure is not wrong. Please, get your people to go and do a recollation. The lack of dialogue between the parties on issues, which was the historical basis of the EC. Let's sit down and dialogue. This, and then telling people, well, you may not agree with my decision, but this is what I'm going to do. Okay. At least you know the basis where the person is coming from. No dialogue, nothing, and decisions are made. So we are also in court with Tachiman South. Hopefully when we get there, a pink sheet will appear, or some pink sheets will appear. And then we will then be able to see which ones are not.
This is the first footage we showed was outside.
Yes.
But this is inside.
Yes.
The hall.
Now, there's something about this which is reminiscent of also what happened in Parliament and what happened in some other polling station, collation centers.
What is it?
What is the need? Why are there so many military people around during an election? Why? What had escalated to the point where the military had to come in? What? You are collating.
We saw that people mass, the number of people, the sheer number of people.
The reason why people were beginning to mass was everybody had pink sheets and the man was refusing to collate. And people began to get suspicious. You have the sheets, just collate and announce the winner. People had even told from the other side, oh, Christopher, you know you've won. Beire is his name, Christopher Beire. We know you've won. They knew. And then all of a sudden,
that's him in the
there's a game
polo shirt.
All of a sudden,
the white and
but
orange.
it is going to court, and we will all, it's unfortunate. The EC are officials that are responsible for this. It's not right. After the event, give us our sheet. That too you can't do. So I mean, what kind of system are we running? And all of a sudden, you've asked for this. I don't hear of any pillars of our society making public statement that, look, EC, this is wrong. Give them their copy. At least they're entitled to it.
But I'm sure at the point, the argument was, when the NDC was on the streets in Tachiman and in Accra, the argument was the only way you can compel the EC to provide these summary relationships and the rest was in the courts. Now you're in the court, you can make a formal application to the EC to produce these documents.
See, Duke,
Alex,
why is it that everybody assumes that a problem happens and goes straight to the court?
First, you have to gather evidence. You have to put together your
It's not even gathering evidence.
You have to put together
You've already got a referee. And you want the referee to do what the referee needs to do. It's not even a fight between us and MPP per se. And we are telling you, the referee, just do, you are a referee. You're not on my side. You shouldn't be on their side. Just do what you're required to do. That's why when even people have problems, they go to the chief's palace and settle it. They don't run to a court. In the rural area, they'll go to the chief's palace. Oh, they'll go and call this person's family, and they sort the matter out. Do you think they don't have a right to go to court?
They do.
They always do. But they don't rush to court. This impression, go to court. It's not your first port of call. Why? Why should it be? When there's an easier way to solve the problem. Do you know how many times we've started to sit down with Afarijan to resolve issues? How many times? In 2008, if you know what happened, but at the end of the day, he gave cogent reasons for why he was doing what he had to do. We didn't go to court after 2008 because he gave everybody their space, explained his decision.
But you won in 2008.
Yes, but do you know what it took? 2008 fake, what's it called? Coalition sheets were appearing as well.
Really?
It's not the first time we've had this. Thank God you're young. I used to be a campaign coordinator and I know exactly what went on. We were sitting there, we'd already got our first set of sheets. We knew what happened in this region in Ashanti. We knew what happened in this polling station. We knew, and that time it was polling station by polling station. It is only this time that for some reason, regional things have come in. Polling station by polling station, it was done. And when these polling stations arrived, we gave them to we all look at it, we enter our computer, we look at it, we put our signature on, it's given and it's sent to Afarijan. Then we were there, the same 3, 4, 5 constituencies had arrived again. We said, we've got this already. Now the figures had moved from 40,000 to 90,000 to 100,000. And we said, what's going on? We went to Afarijan. Afarijan never got those first ones we are talking about. So I'm going with what I have
now.
Can you imagine the temperature when we all knew what had gone on?
The EC said that to prevent that, they needed to create an extra
layer. And Afarijan just stuck to his guns. That look, I am this thing. I trust my people. This is the only coalition sheet I have. Immediately, we rushed and got all the pink sheets we could get from all those constituencies. So if this constituency has, say, 100 pink sheets, we got 90. Another one, there's 100, we got 85. In some places, 70. We brought all of them to Afarijan. We said, these are your original pink sheets.
So let's do the computation.
We added all the 70. And then we said, dash the remaining 30, 15, 10 to MPP. The number of people who could vote, not the number of people who said they could vote. Dash it to MPP. The 100,000, which we got as 45, now became 60,000. So we knocked off 4 major figures using pink sheets. So we know about pink sheets. We didn't start pink sheets today. And because of that, what happened there was that they then said, look, time. If you gave all of time to one or the other, they could win. So let's go and do time, which hadn't been done. And we went and did election in time.
So a similar story of pink sheets that's unfolding in Tachiman South. And you believe that with the evidence at your disposal, if you go to court, you would get that seat.
Amen. You're now with me.
I'm not. I'm just asking questions.
My reason.
Yes, and let viewers know that if we had an MPP lawyer and rep in the studio, he would also have probably argued something different, and that's why the issues are going to.
With facts.
That's why. That's why the issues will play out in court, Alex.
Yes. No. Yes, I agree. I agree. So I'm not. You have to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
So it's not personal to you, and it's in order because I don't have a colleague from the other side here to speak. So I understand that perfectly. But I'm trying to tell you that there's a history in these things, and that history has played out in the past. So we are, unfortunately, in some sort of familiar territory. Some of us, we don't like it. This must stop.
Okay. On that note, we'll take another break here. When we come back, we'll look at the other issues going into the home stretch period of this program. This is the point of view. Say that show is live interactive. Join us with the comments 055 058 5832. We'll be right back after the break.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV, it's your world.
Instead of for us to look for jobs, why don't we start up something which can help to change our fathers, our mothers' life?
I tell the fellow youth, so many of us are without jobs. If we can put ourselves in the hot seat, we can create the jobs.
But in Africa, we actually have needs that if you solve them, you're able to impact the people within the continent.
Without fear, people become more productive. They become daring. They become creative. They become innovative.
I decided to quit my job. Even if I don't make it, I'll have tried. I will have known that it can't work.
Nothing is magic here. Everyone who arrives somewhere is working day and night.
It's something that will enable you to grow a lot of skills you didn't have.
You're trying to build something that is beyond the borders of this country.
If you want to change the world, right, you might as well start from home.
This is the point of view. Welcome back from the break. We're still trying to dissect the matters before our courts in the shape of parliamentary election petitions across the country. I still have in studio Mr. Alessewefia, who's a member of the NDC legal team. We don't have a rep from the MPP. Guy Namako was supposed to be here, but as I said, now he's not showed up. So, there's a couple of your messages you sent in. Desmond McLean from Sevios, one of the constituencies in contention, says MPP is ahead of NDC in terms of governance. NDC only do mortar and brick politics, which we have failed to give us results over the years. We need a paradigm shift, and that's what we are seeing under President Akufo-Addo. The Sevios election petition is a waste of time and resources and should be treated as such. That's what you think. Phil from Boga in the Upper East region says, I grew up in a country where I was brought up to understand that the only way I could effect a change in governance was after a 4-year period. Having kept my cool till such a time, a politician, as greedy as he is or she is, decides to use state resource agencies to intimidate and force a change against the will of the people, I would sure be thinking of the other ways to make sure the change majority of us are witnesses to is made manifest. The MPP shouldn't think the precedent being set will be good for our democracy, not even a single day. Salisu, etc. from Oti region says, President Akufo-Addo and the MPP won the 2020 elections because of his decisive, honest dedication and selfless leadership. At least we can mention free SHS, 1V, 1D, 1 village, 1 dam, PFG, and more. Importantly, Ghana, under President Akufo-Addo, has gained respect worldwide. Elections are won and declared at the polling stations where all political parties' agents are present. Alaji Hamza from Pig Farm says, So let's say if you have made my day, you have demonstrated to us that you are on top of issues, and we are proud of you. Keep it up. Okay, so let's come to one of the issues that is, of course, so far I've spoken about 3 of the cases from the NDC, but one of the issues that have been filed by the NPP in Asin and North, that issue was determined in a way. Of course, the main issue has not been broached. It's just an injunction was granted by the court. Let's look at this report from the Cape Coast. After the Cape Coast High Court granted the injunction, I have a report from Georgina.
Cape Coast High Court. The plaintiff, a Mason, is seeking to annul the declaration of Mr. James Jachi Kwesen as the Member of Parliament elect for the Asin North constituency on grounds that he had held a dual citizenship at the time of filing to contest the election. According to Article 94 of Ghana's Constitution that talks about eligibility and qualification, it says a person shall not be qualified to be a Member of Parliament if he or she owes allegiance to a country other than Ghana unless they have renounced the citizenship of that country. There was heavy security presence at the court before the ruling. Some supporters of the opposition National Democratic Congress who were displeased with the ruling held insults at the plaintiff.
The court upheld the injunction and hence have placed injunction on the MP elect, meaning that the Asin North, the people of Asin North cannot have representative and do not have representative as we speak. What kind of court system do we have in this country? We are not going to sleep. Whatever be the cause, Honorable Joe Pesci has to be a parliamentary candidate. He will be parliamentary candidate. Now, he is elect, and we know him to be elect. We are telling the whole Ghana that's it. We will never rest. Just like this gone, we are good.
According to the lawyer of the plaintiff, Gary Nimakun, the NDC MP elect for Asin North, James Kwesen, only renounced his Canadian citizenship on the 26th of November 2020, around which time he was filing his nomination at the Electoral Commission. He says Mr. Kwesen indeed held dual citizenship before filing his nomination.
It's not clear. They were in court, they didn't challenge the fact that it was given a certificate of renunciation on 26th of November 2020, which is post-date the time of filing, post-date the time of elections. So clearly, I don't think there's an issue. The court has done the right thing. We cannot put something on nothing. The foundation is very weak. You want to go to parliament, you must be only a citizen of Ghana. Dual citizens are not allowed to go into parliament. And therefore, the court has held so.
The ruling in the Asin North case is significant because it comes at a time when the two major parties, NDC and MPP, are in a tussle over who holds the majority seats in Parliament ahead of the inauguration of the 8th Parliament and the election of a Speaker. Per this ruling, the NDC seats will come to 136 from 137, leaving the MPP with 137 seats aside the independent MP-elect for Fomena, who has also pledged allegiance to the MPP side in Parliament. If the substantive case goes against the MP-elect, there would have to be a by-election in that constituency, and he stands the risk of being convicted.
So that's a report that was filed somewhere last week before the inauguration of Parliament. So that explains why those, at the end of the report, there was that calculation as to how it would affect the numbers. But the story has evolved since then. He went to Parliament. The clerk showed evidence that he had been served the injunction and indicated that whatever was going to happen after his reading out the injunction he had gotten would be solely in the bosom of Mr. or Honorable Jachi now, because he's been sworn in, because at a point he even wanted to get the marshals to take him out. But he stayed. There were all sort of legal defenses put across by members of the NDC caucus there. They put up all sort of defenses. He stayed, got himself sworn in, and voted for probably Abambabin to become Speaker. You're a lawyer. You know the implications of going against court injunctions. What case can be made for his decision to defy the injunction from the Cape Coast High Court?
I think that there are very, very interesting legal issues that arise from what happened that day.
So those are the two people in Abnad Mensah, the incumbent in the 7th Parliament, who was over who lost the seat to James Kwesi. Yes.
The court frowns upon using a back door instead of going through the front door.
Okay.
Look, we've just come out of the Supreme Court, which is telling all of us that actually this is an election petition.
Okay.
So you can't come through human rights. We disagree with it because we say human rights stands on its own. But by all means, that is their position. Since when did the clerk become a bailiff for the court to serve on somebody? They have a duty to serve the gentleman.
Of course.
The clerk was not a party to the proceedings.
But he was the one to ensure that he was not sworn in.
No. You see,
as the chairman of the
but there's a process. The question of service was raised. You say you were served with this document. Who served you? You gave an answer. The person you gave is a court clerk known to everybody. He's not a bailiff. He cannot serve. It's a procedural issue. People who serve document should be bailiffs. And there are good reasons for that. So if you were not served with a bailiff, how come you think that the document you are holding is legitimate? When you are going to do it to somebody who has not been sworn in. There's another question. Do you have any, at that time, did you have any jurisdiction over him? Because he was not yet a member of parliament. However, even if you had jurisdiction over him, is it with you? Why didn't you call the leadership of the party 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours before and say, hey, this has come. I seem to be under duties to stop your man from being sworn in. So please bring him in here so that I deal with it quietly and we come to. And all those questions that were asked openly would have been asked of him there, and he would have been able to then address his mind. No, you decided to do it clandestinely. Through it wasn't even raised by you independently. That's what even for me was. Yeah. Afenyo Maki is the one who raised
it on the floor before
you are the clerk. You are in charge. You have a document. You say, why does Afenyo Maki have to get up and say that, by the way, I am aware.
Okay. This is an issue that, of course, we know it will play out over the next few weeks, so we'll have the opportunity to discuss it. Yes, but that's been our show for today in this edition. My name is Duke Menson Pokwade in the studio, Mr. Alexander. If you're a member of the NDC legal team, keep watching CCTV for the very best in programming. I sat in for your regular host, Bernard Koku Avle.